is about moving. Because that's our biggest fight.
But if we have questions about permitting
I
and
need
things
to
like
let
that,
people.
when would I ask?
So that this is
At the
okay.
comments maybe at the end.
Well, and you would put it on the agenda to talk about planning. This is the every single meeting, the planning update or every work session. If you want me to clarify it in the agenda, I can, but that planning update is about moving through the moratorium. That was what was requested, and we can always put planning as permitting and anything else in the agenda.
And I'll just, are you finished with that?
Yeah.
So just to continue what I am seeing on my side is, and great, we're making good headway with as far as we have kind of an end date for passing some of these, but with the weather changing and people getting anxious to get things done, you know, even if that's just a simple pole barn or a swimming pool or whatever, it's going to get even more intense for us as far as answering these questions. So I brought it up a couple weeks ago and I continue to just take these and deal with them and hopefully doing an adequate job. But I do think we still need to possibly think about a process because it's not going to get less going forward is what I've seen. I mean, I've taken 3 calls already this morning. I took one walking in today, and usually it's repeat ones where people have already got an answer, and maybe even an answer from the final say, Brian, but they're calling to check up where we're at again with it. And what's happening is I'm taking a call and spending half an hour just rehashing exactly what I did 2 to 3 to 4 weeks earlier with them, just to calm them, let them know the process is things are being done, but we're still where we're at, but they still want to have me explain that. So I'm kind of with you guys to say any thoughts on that as far as possible. I guess that should be me doing it, kind of what Don said to it, but I kind of want to throw it out to say, should we do something within, or I think it should come from within rather than hire a volunteer legally. Or go ahead, okay.
2 things I think we could do. One is to create a little subset to back you 2 up to field all those calls and keep track because you're getting repeat answers. And when I say subset, some of us, another thing is, as in connection with that, you can have maybe twice a week where here's where we're going to be getting back to people. Here's where we're going to, or here's the time you can call us, similar to office hours, but it would be availability by phone. And it would be ability to call back and get some consistency in answers. The other deal is we could possibly get Madison to help.
Get what?
Madison.
To help.
Or Madison.
Discuss that.
Yeah.
To help how?
To help fill these calls, to help analyze, and maybe to help with process suggestions for improvement.
So what I heard you say was that Brian has already answered these and we got just
For
for updates, right?
Yeah.
So couldn't we have a certain time when Brian is available to?
Very much so.
Or
One thing though is if they are routine calls and the same questions over and over again, we might be paying a premium to have Brian respond.
Right.
what I would suggest though is if you know the people that are calling, because they've already called once, they're looking for an update. I would have collect their email addresses and you can periodically send out, blind copy their emails, so they're not seeing everybody else necessarily, but you can send out an email that says, here's an update of where we are, we're still working on it. We've got this date here, and we're moving forward, just so that you're pushing information rather than having to get them to call you.
No, I appreciate that, and I've done that a little bit. I think this is the nature of being a little bit of a small town and them knowing me. They'll just call me directly and text me. That's exactly what happened. I get the same thing. And so I don't know. I appreciate it, and I think I will try to do something like that, send something out to them, but they're just bypassing that,
We have tried to get the website out, so Kathy has now gotten permission to get in there and do it. But apparently now the communication team is doing it, so I would
Doing
recommend
what?
putting information on the website.
Okay,
We'll get with Kathy, but
Okay.
anyway, the communication should be coming soon, Chad, and hopefully we can get that out. And we also have VoIP numbers that we can have a number to, I think, to call for updates and have maybe a recording or something on it.
Okay.
But I don't want to make it harder than we should make it. And we're trying to get this website out. So that's what I think we should hang on and wait for a couple days.
Yeah, and if you talk to Kathy or talk to Madison, get a process design in place, it will make it simpler. What I feel empathy for is you probably get calls while you're walking, while you're working, while you're driving. Really hard to keep track of what those are,
Mhm.
really hard.
Well, yeah, a perfect example is walking in, I thought it was
Yeah.
a call. It was a California people, but it was a citizen call. Which,
Yeah.
listen, I'm all for, I'd love to be able to talk directly with them if I had all the time in the world to do it. But my worry is, I'm totally fine doing it when I can do it, but my worry is what I'm missing, you know, not being able to get back and give people accurate information and then getting frustrated with where things are. So if
That's-
you're hearing that, please communicate it with me. And that just emphasizes the need to maybe fast track something more.
And get a decent process, and we'll talk to our process engineer here.
Did you have something to add?
I do.
Yes.
I think the most critical thing is to get the website up as soon as we can.
I'm with
And
you.
have the frequently asked questions there.
Yeah.
Chad is not going to not get phone calls until we get out of the moratorium. Because many of our concerned citizens are,
Waiting.
I'm frustrated, I want to talk to somebody, and they're still gonna call you, no matter what, somebody, and I'm empathetic.
I know, I
So
understand.
until we get the website up that says, frequently asked questions, here's the answer. To me, that's the most important thing, and we can put it in the paper too, but until we get that. They're gonna keep calling you, and they're gonna keep calling you until we get out of the freaking moratorium, and then they're gonna call you again, and they're gonna call me. On engineering. So a process may or may not help, but frustrated residents who are rightly so frustrated are gonna keep calling, and many of them are in my district.
Yeah.
Say, help, and we can't help until we get out of the moratorium, let's get the answers on the website. As soon as we can.
Okay, but, so is your question regarding the plan, because I need to get this back into the agenda.
Yeah, we did. It was just how much will these VoIP phones help?
No, we're gonna talk about that
Yeah,
during the
okay.
next time. Yep, we're gonna,
Okay,
sorry.
planning,
Yep.
I wanna change expectations on the date we can have the 10-day notice. I wanna lessen expectations, because if they pass this tomorrow night, we are not prepared to send out postcards yet. That will take us a week to get them written, to get them figured out how to get them mailed and paid for. I can't do that in a day, I'm sorry, unless somebody can, I'm
Landon is capable of doing it.
well,
I don't know what they did.
yeah.
And you're putting 10 days being the 17th.
That's if it went out, if
I know, but-
after they approved it.
Are we talking, these guys were talking 10 days, just 10 flat days? Can that not include weekend days?
Yes, typically it
I mean,
does.
4 days of leeway on.
Well, thanks, Jack.
It does. I'm not putting just you on it.
No, I'm kidding, you.
It's not a creative writing exercise, you literally tell the date, the location, and what is going to be, and where people can find it, and that's basically the examination, it's not gonna be like an essay, right?
Our, just making sure we're getting out.
But I hear, so here's what I hear, she would like to give herself more, alright.
Yeah, I don't know who to contact to do the postcards, I don't know who to do, I gotta do a lot of research to find out how to mail them in bulk, how to get them to every resident, to do current resident as opposed to addresses. I don't know how to do that.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, I cannot guarantee by the 17th, we can do that.
Okay,
Somebody wants-
understood.
I just wanna state expectations very clearly.
So,
If there's any help that I can get, I'm happy to take.
I'd be happy to help you.
Great.
we've got a Wednesday 8 AM meeting that she's got a paper planner that is expert in this kind of thing, and we have an attorney to justify the law, and so
Like,
we're, I
In
think,
terms of mailings. and
I'm talking mailings.
I would imagine it's Brian's job, I guess. Okay. Yeah, but
Can
well,
we just give it to our planner and say?
why don't we talk about it on Wednesday at 8 AM? Because that way we can talk about it with people who know what they're,
Okay.
what they have to do. So it sounds like we've gotten off topic from the original intent, and so I would like to move forward in the agenda with, next up is a similar tangent, but it's landing group communication proposal.
And This is not a tangent, but it's a really good related topic
That's what I'm.
to full planning.
Not
That's
tangent, but it's
okay.
a related.
No offense taken. I've been called tangential before. I, in my capacity as the communications portfolio person, asked Peggy if I could work with the Landon Group, which is an arm of JUB, that does communications. And they had submitted initially a communication plan that was very robust and probably was running upwards of 30K. A cut down one was 20,000. With Peggy's advice and concurrence, I talked last week to the manager at the Landing Group who is doing this and asked her to come in with a proposal 10,000 and under and focus on 3 things. And that is what you see in front of you. First, the first task and the first project focus is really scheduling communications and expectation setting. Because as we see, we have kind of this rolling on schedule, which I don't think is front and center in front of the public or in front of maybe even the people who need to give all the notices. Perhaps Sharon, having been in those meetings, sees more of that. And so I want us to get a clear calendar, clear schedule of communications, and then help to get us in shape to get these public hearings in place, more than just the legal notices, although those are an important aspect. This can also help shape our own expectations and the public expectation.
Okay, you said that if we haven't done that.
I don't.
I know.
It's attached to your
Yeah.
agenda you sent
The
out.
agenda,
And then it was sent?
the next one.
I have the, but that's the PIC.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's what I was looking.
And I'm sorry, it's an awkwardly labeled document.
Okay.
Yes.
It's called Ogden Valley City Ordinance GP and Zoning Review. So you probably weren't listening. Bottom line, the first thing is communication people help us get a clear schedule that we are all sharing, working around. And in the process, it will help with these notification procedures as well. And it will help perhaps Chad with his getting buried with calls saying, what's next? So schedule setting, very important. Number 2, and this is one I think both the mayor and the chair of the Planning Commission need to robustly have feedback on. And I approach these assuming some of these meetings are going to be rather detailed, maybe a little bit complicated, and maybe there's some room to get some facilitation help. Now, the legal rule as Janet is pondering this, the legal role of the mayor is to facilitate meetings, but that could be a resource to help you. And the same for Lisa as chair of the Planning Commission. Could be a backup, could be a consultant, or perhaps never do anything at all with facilitation. But it is something in a communication strategy one would want to consider. These are complex meetings. They're different from the other meetings that either body is used to having, and you could use some advice on that matter. Along those lines, they could also provide some preparation for the council, help with some FAQs, calling out hot issues that might be coming our way. Bear in mind for the commission, for the Planning Commission, not all of us are attending those meetings. The council may need some help getting that crossover of messaging and issues and likely concerns, since we're not the Planning Commission who is living through this. So that would help with the sharing of information. There are also some other items helping with prepare slides, handouts, etc. Again, this goes to my perception that these meetings, especially as they get more substantive, will be a heavy lift, and maybe we could use some help. And finally, the third item is really about information gathering and allowing us to track comments and issues in a very consistent basis. And the inspiration was for those who have had attended the public hearings the Lieutenant Governor held on incorporation. They had some pretty effective ways of tracking issues that came in handy for those involved in the whole incorporation drive, whether you were a citizen or whether you were one of the sponsors tracking it. Either way, it's good to have them serve as a really effective consolidator of comments so that the planning commission might have that at their fingertips. And that when it comes in front of the council, we would have that at our fingertips. So those are the three areas. The proposal is at 12K. I would say not to exceed 10K. These actual activities are still not cast in stone. It's the three primary areas where we need help in communications. So take it away. Any questions, thoughts, or comments?
How would you drop it from 12 to 10?
I would say there's a cap and let's eliminate some hours here. I would go through each of these areas and say, well, we don't need that part and refine the scope. And actually the way to help control that cost is to really work closely and tightly with the communication person doing this.
What if you discover later you need more hours?
Then we'd come back
So why
and
don't
update
you
you.
just, why don't you just make more hours, bake in the right number of hours, the max number of hours, you know?
I like lower expectations because if you put a lot of hours in this, things expand time. I know having lived on a timesheet, and I'd rather start with a really concise focus. And if we need more, we'll need more.
So I'm sorry, is there somebody? I'm just wondering, are we going to cut down so much that we're not getting a good product?
I think we can look and do quality assurance as it goes. I think there are still substantial hours for communications here. And given that we have 0 hours committed to communications by any paid resource, to me, this is really a luxury. You know, this is like our hardest communication topic. It's time to get a pro in, but let's get the Ford truck, maybe not the Cadillac vehicle. We want it good, simple, and usable. Go ahead.
What do you propose to do? This is about a planning and a
I would propose communication because it has to be integrated both through planning as well as through the public communication and the council communication among ourselves.
And structurally, it's simply executing another task order through the JV contract. That's all it is. We tell them go do.
And we need them now. We need this now.
Yeah.
We have been.
I'm sure they're ready to go like that. Once we see.
We have been
But
negotiating
structurally,
this for months.
I don't make shit, honestly, I really don't. The three things, I mean, I don't see them with communication, so please help me understand what I'm missing. Setting up a schedule for meetings.
That's what I
We have
assume they
to
were
schedule
doing.
meetings.
That's what I assume they would be doing to help us with the hearings and the rollout and the 10 days and the postcards. That's where I
That
thought.
wasn't what they were.
Well, they're
I
not
know,
going
that's
to
where-
necessarily count your legal notice dates. I think that's the responsibility for legal and for the management to make sure they are complying with the law. But in terms of a calendar, I mean, we're sitting here around the table debating when's the calendar, when's this going to be, what time the meeting will be. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that Angela Dean has a very detailed calendar. It has each zone. It has target dates for each of these separate items that are calendared. And in like 83, we've got the hearing on the 17th. But the calendar is there. It's just a matter of
Right.
not being widely published.
It's not communicated. That's the problem.
But it can't be because it depends, sorry, Janet, but it depends on when they approve these things. So it has to have a little fluctuation. And then we don't have the infrastructure in place to get those notices out the next day. So when, we need to have that in place. So when they approve something, ooh, we gotta be ready to get it out to the public the next day, and we're not yet. So that's gonna be a delay. So it's gonna throw the whole calendar off.
So there's no such thing as having a calendar for this project?
Well, it just has to be flexible.
We just put a legend on a calendar we communicate, subject to change.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But the fact that here's a calendar over here and then there's a calendar in the notices and it's what I would call siloed. Here's a calendar on one person's computer. There's another calendar that you're working through to send out notices. There's a calendar you're concerned about for the timely legal notices. And I don't know that council, who will have to be activated at some point to adopt all of these things, do we know what the calendar is? Do we know what we need to be preparing for? And there will be slippage on every project. Sadly, there's slippage. But as a council member, I try to keep up, but I don't know what these dates are. I try to keep up with the planning notices and the like, but it would be good to have a calendar of expected and anticipated work.
I just think that we have one because we already have 3 different meetings out of agendas so that people are able to see what's coming down the pipe for planning. There is a calendar, some of it's been published, we can publish it further. I don't know that we need to pay a separate person. So let me just go through, I just don't understand the proposal really, because setting up a calendar. Not done. So setting up a calendar, we already have one.
It's not communicated though.
I think,
We have published.
yeah, I mean.
Where is it?
Through the 24th.
Oh, those are notices. That's not a calendar. Those are 3 notices. That's not a calendar.
Okay, what is a calendar to?
What to expect in the next 3 to 4 months.
And how is this going out? How is it being communicated?
It can be communicated through our communication channels, through the newspaper, through constant contact, hopefully through our website.
So all things that we have control of.
Yes,
I don't understand why we don't just do that, right?
I think that
it would be nice to get an additional resource to help us do that in a coordinated and professional fashion.
Are you saying like the Microsoft one's not thorough? The one that we have?
No,
Apple one?
no, I am thinking not of the technical
Could I
calendar.
agree?
Thank you.
When I'm looking at it right now,
Well-
it's not.
Yeah,
I agree with Kay.
we need help.
We do. We need help writing this. We just don't have all the time to put these together, to get the notices out, to inform the public, do the quick one-pagers. I think a professional team that can take our information and help us communicate with our residents is essential. My concern is, I want it now.
Sure.
I want it.
So,
So they can send out our notices. We have been working with this Landon group to try to get a proposal now for a month. And I was hoping they'd be ready at this time to jump in. So Brian gives them the information, they put it on the cards, they get it out to people, they do a write-up for the webpage, they do a write-up for the paper. I mean, that's what I'm hoping. It's my hope, is to get that support, like Kay says in the purpose of it. I just lost it, sorry, Kay.
well, and
The purpose was the public hearing preparation and facilitation, collecting input from the residents, creation and management of structured feedback matrix. That's what I'm hoping they'll do for us, because I don't have the time.
And this also is part of our commitment to transparency. Because I think we owe it to the public to set to hand some basic expectations on timing, calendar, beyond just the legally required notices we have to post. So that's the view. We need professional help. We also need to exploit, and I mean that in a beneficial way. We have a communications expert, professional, who works hand in glove with Brian, our planner, versus, let's say we were going to do it in-house. Well, Brian's not down the hall from me. I'm not working with him on other planning projects, which she is. And so there's a lot of synergy to be had. And this person has helped him with another general plan. I think it's Mountain, in terms of very similar items. So that's the calendar. That's the schedule. That's the helping to set expectations piece.
Going back real quick on that, will the website cure a lot of this?
It will help because it's one more channel, but here's what's going to happen to the website. It won't have immediate penetration the day you launch it. It takes a while for people to go travel to it, get used to it, and know where to find things.
And yours will, or your ideal will, because we already have the.
We'd use the existing channels, but also we'd be able to create content. I have a hard time creating content for every other week newspaper. It takes a fair amount of time, and this is going to be at a whole different level. Public hearing support, facilitation and council preparation.
I don't understand.
Okay, here's what happens. This will be unlike perhaps any other meeting you have facilitated before.
What?
Have you ever facilitated a meeting to pass a general plan or a new code?
A new code. Or
Where was the new code?
We did the whole agritourism thing.
Okay, and
We also
you,
adjusted the sign ordinance, so I was.
that was,
It's just-
let me share with you. That's one chapter in the code. Okay, it's not the entire
We're doing
code.
chapters.
This is the entire code. How many chapters are there?
We're doing it in chapters.
Okay. So will you acknowledge it's a little bit bigger than you've done before or than
I just don't
she
understand
has done?
when we have this.
Well, this is,
You guys get to vote. If you all are in favor, I am here, part of my job is to advise. This proposal, it does not fully make sense to me. A communications group being paid to do communication, but the facilitating meetings, when we have two people facilitating the meeting already, we have it
No.
there. And we have a planning specialist.
okay.
If we need to have our attorney there, we can have our attorney there, but that's already three people that are facilitating. We're gonna add another person. I don't see the point.
Janet, let me,
Respond to that, yeah.
yeah, and let me just say, this is what I led with in terms of actually running the meeting. This is an offer for possible assistance. And you may say, I don't need the assistance. If that's the case, you don't need it. In the same with Lisa, okay? But also in terms of planning for the meeting or your graphics, how you want to stage the meeting, it's some professional help and you can say, thank you, I'm fine, okay? And it will just reduce the bill. It is just another thing when I looked at the dimensions of this meeting, which are really unusual, of this series of meetings, spoke to me about it would help to have a professional communications person do this, but truly, I mean, you may not want that at all. And that's your prerogative. You're the mayor, you get to facilitate. You could have some advice if you want to, or you could say, no, I'm fine. Thank you, I like lower bills. You'll help us get it under 10K. And the final is information. There's going to be a wave of hearings with the Planning Commission where issues will be raised. There then should be, apparently, we're going to have as a council waves of meetings. A lot of data will be shared by the public for us. And I think we owe the expressions of that information from our public to collect that in an organized way where it's sensically and easily available to us for consideration and also available to the public to see what are the concerns. So again, I go back to the LG meetings that we attended. Go ahead.
Maybe did you want to speak?
Yes, I thought of facilitation a little bit different, not the actual meeting, even though they offered that. My big piece that I think could help us and the volunteers on the planning commission that are spending a lot of time just getting into the zones, this preparation of messaging. the crisis response messaging and conflict support.
What crisis, what's happening that?
Develop short-term messaging on issues that may escalate, and talk, getting feedback, getting it back out. It's the transparency, it's the time that it takes to answer all the feedback, like Chad was just talking about, all the phone calls, to be clear with our residents. And we think we get it out, we gotta get it out farther. So to give professional help to do that, I think would only benefit us. So that's where I'm at with this. I think it's the support in preparing the materials, getting it out to people, collecting the responses is ours. And I think that would be a big help for us.
Yeah, in terms of like assisting through, I'll call them the spicier issues. It's perhaps extreme to call them crisis communications, but it really,
Crisis is not-
it may be hard, there are going to be some hard topics. And we need to have our mindset and our preparation on how to deal with some of those hard topics. That's essentially crisis communication preparation in this situation. And I guarantee you, we're going to have some hot topics. Did anyone think of the word short-term rental, for example?
Agritourism.
Yeah, agritourism. So it helps. We're paying for some professional help to get through those communications. And again, just finally, data. I cut out a lot of this information, a lot of this work, saying we can get AI, to summarize issues based on the recordings. But also to have this organized in a usable fashion is going to be very helpful. With any of this, we're not committed to doing this work. It's preparing them if we need them and want them and continue to see a need for it, to have them as a resource, because we do not have the internal resources as among volunteers to handle this professionally.
That was my question. If not, then who?
Mhm.
For me, it would just be save this money for when we're actually doing a revamp of the actual thing. If we're just basically bringing things over, I would save the money for when we're actually making real substantive changes.
Hopefully we will have some money through a grant that we will be able to do that too.
That's just where I went. I don't think it's as necessary right now when we're bringing other things that existed before. But it will be necessary when we do a larger revamp. Yes.
I think if we decide, yes, the money doesn't have to be spent, it allows it to be spent. And if we decide yes, then we would have the communicator and the planning team just make sure that whatever we're spending absolutely needs to be done. There's some debate about meaning of words, which we often do in our city council. So I would, if we say, I don't think we need to vote to do it because we would do it through an existing contract. I'm willing to support it with the understanding that communication and planning, just be wise with the money, but use it when we actually have to make a strong communication or untangle our mess or create frequently asked questions or something like that, use it that way. I think it's a hedging of our bets to have them on a contract to use them to get going.
Is that a motion?
Well, we can't vote.
Oh, it's a work session.
I don't think you guys need approval per
No,
se, because
we don't.
it's simply a service of the fund. Right, it's
Well,
below the threshold.
Yeah.
Any one of you can say, go do. I would just do it wisely,
Yeah.
which I trust you guys to do wisely.
And I think it's very good to have this discussion, to know how we want to watch the budget, but still make sure there's the resource when we need it.
So Peggy used the term à la carte at one point. Is that?
This is like the à la carte version, and we can still say we want this project, not that project.
Here's an example. How long does it take you to create 7,200 postcards to get out of 10-day notice?
And who's your printer?
Yeah,
And how much does it cost?
right.
Now tell you, it'll cost 15 minutes worth of their labor to tell you, and then you don't have to use. Cause they can do it, we turn money into product, is it worth the dollar, I don't know. That's what I was using.
Here's one of my questions too. I'm not sure how much of this process is roll everything over except, a handful of critical things. I'm not sure how much the commission itself is doing that. So the issues may be more complex than just the notion we're rolling over
Right.
and then resolving a few high points. And, I hope, I had expressed a personal opinion before that I thought that would be the most efficient thing, but the commission is a separate entity. From what I have heard in listening to them, they want to get into some issues and make this code improved, not just
Absolutely.
polished, not just pulled over.
Yes.
And
that's what
We
it
mean immediately on this first go over.
Yeah,
Yeah. They felt the pressure of saying just go for it, and they're saying, wait a
we
second.
want to do some
Yeah.
things here. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt that same thing from.
Is there
Okay.
further discussion on this? Sounds like people can move forward with that
Okay.
within the threshold.
Great.
All right, next on the agenda are, any final comments on the various things that will be on consent tomorrow? Minutes, the language, we went through this all in yesterday, or no, some minutes we didn't, but like, some of the language we went through in last week's work session that was finalized, we had a chance to review it, this is the time to kind of discuss it, because tomorrow it should just be up or down, so. If you needed a changes made, speak now for everyone's piece.
Now, on the agenda packet you sent out today, they weren't included, the financial packet. And are we voting on the advisory groups and the financial packet? I had to go back and look at old.
No, I sent that all out over the weekend.
I think it's in the.
And it's in the one I sent out most recently, tells you exactly where everything is.
Okay, which one was that, Jen?
So the one.
It wasn't in the one on 3/2/26 agenda and document.
Yes, yeah, well, it's, if you scroll down the agenda, it says the docs are attached, for the ones that are attached into that email.
Mhm.
And then it says final comments, it says docs in the 3 CCM packet, which was
Okay.
sent out.
So that's what I did, I went back and looked at the packet, so that's the language that will be in the one tomorrow.
Those were the
Okay.
final written docs.
Okay, so that's what I did.
Any comments about any of it?
Mhm.
I have
You wanted to discuss ILA for animal control?
I had a question. The mileage resolution, is that not in the packet tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't see it on the agenda. I believe you, whether. Liberty resolution, that's ULCT resolution, ILA, animal control of the.
So it's in the packet and
Good.
on the agenda for 3/2. We had already gone through and finalized and agreed.
Right.
So I didn't list it out separately on today's agenda. The only thing I pulled for today's agenda separately on the agenda is the one for the committees, because it was discussed that we might want one more comment on it, so that was up for comment.
Okay.
We finalized the language for 10.2.
There were edits, based on feedback that I made, so
To what?
Which said.
to mileage, to the resolution on mileage.
From what was agreed to on,
And there wasn't an agreement. There were suggestions that I go back and make revisions. And so
Right.
that's what I did in the resolution, and it's in there.
yes,
It's simplified. And I think it's ready for passage. You can read it, and if we don't think it is tomorrow, we can pull it back. But it should be simple to pass.
right, so that was the.
Okay, good.
that
Thanks.
was one. Final comment, it's
Perfect.
final comment being, if you guys are uncomfortable with it, speak now, we can pull it from tomorrow, but otherwise, it should be ready to go.
Do we all have the final written version?
I'm trying to find it.
It should be in the packet on agenda 3/2,
But if Kay made adjustments, did you do it in that
it's
packet?
in that, she gave me, remember, everybody had to give me their final documents
Mhm.
by a certain date, which she did, it was all included in the packet.
Okay. And yeah, and read it. I simplified because it was really tedious. And if it doesn't, hit it tomorrow, we can pull it out. and simplified. I would implore us, though, we need to minimize the time we spend on that. Because we have other stuff on our agenda.
Consensus shows to be up or down.
Yeah, okay,
Which-
okay.
Yeah, but it has happened where people wanted to talk about it, and so this is why I put it on today's agenda. Here's your time to talk, it's tomorrow, it should be over.
Sure.
Okay, so in the agenda packet for tomorrow, a variety of business license related things. I'm looking at the packet right now.
Yes,
We have not talked about those.
they've been pulled out in the email I sent you on Friday. It says, packet will be modified, the business licenses will be removed.
I didn't catch that, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
The advisory committee one is in here.
Mhm.
The mileage draft language is in here. There we go. Okay.
Now I have another comment about this process. I, for one, was very grateful that mayor imposed deadlines. Because as we all know, we have more tasks than we have time. And for me, it was helpful to know Janet needs these documents by a certain date. And hopefully we'll see the benefits of that discipline. So thanks, Mayor. You ruined a whole day for my week last week.
So I haven't heard any comments, so if there are no, then I'm gonna go ahead and move forward, from 4 and go on to 5, which is, Councilmember Julian Baker for code enforcement.
Oh. Good.
You sent us an email, you wanted us to look at?
Yeah, if the Zoom is working, we can put it up. I don't know if you got it. Is there an email for me, Kathy, with the PowerPoint? Not, I sent it out to everybody, so if you take a look at that. Let's see, a couple weeks ago, we talked about code enforcement and we put in an article in the paper and advertised for a code enforcement person. And it ran for 2 weeks. So what we have is this article, and then I contacted the code enforcement officer from Huntsville, and he had talked to me about how to write this up and what he thought were important skills, and then we got it out to a group he works with, so he passed it on to other people. I sent it to him, and I assume he passed it on to other people, but that's what we did for advertisement. In those 2 weeks, we only had one applicant, and that is the paperwork you had attached to the agenda, the Beacon Code Consultants. And that is Tyler Seaman, and he has a company that provides services for permitting, inspections, and code enforcements. Kay and I interviewed him, and just on code enforcements. We didn't talk building permits, we didn't talk inspections, but he provides those services. So as you look through his portfolio, you'll see those in there. What we would like to talk about is this piece. The code enforcement will provide proactive, responsible code enforcement services to preserve the community standards and ensure public health and safety. These are the targets that he said. He would go out to the field. He has a person in mind. This person works in Garland, right outside of like Tree Mountain in that area, works there. And so he told us about who he would have here and what they would do. We were looking at 10 hours a week to do these functions. The second page talks about coordination with legal counsel and all these other things that we hope we don't ever have to do. Testimony, documentation, how they track assistance. You know, in the interview, he hit all the areas we were looking at in terms of our needs for us, for me. I'm assuming Kay too, she can speak to herself, speak for herself. The Beacon Code Enforcement also gave us a page of references. So we called 2 sets. I called 2. The mayor of Garland recommends, works well with residents, but keep in mind, the mayor's as old as we are. He's 6 weeks old.
Oh, really?
And just getting his feet wet too. So he's like, I don't know, but I'm not getting people complaining. You know, they're going to the code enforcement officer first to ask. So that was good. Tom Hannon is the manager of Washington Terrace, and he also highly recommended him. The next slide talks about the cost. So this person is at the high end of the scale, even higher than the Huntsville gentleman is making, plus mileage. So mileage is not included. So for 10 hours a week, it would cost us $27,360 a year plus mileage. So that would be the cost to us. As I looked at our financial procurement policy, we can do small purchase contracts of 50,000 or less. But in there, it also said a minimum quote required, 2 competitive quotes shall be obtained whenever possible, and we only have one, it's 2 weeks. So that's the concern I'm bringing to the group today, to ask about next steps. Where do you want me to go with this?
What do you suggest we do?
After looking at the proposal, after talking to a couple references, I say we could go ahead for a year contract and get started on code enforcement, because we have issues coming up already. We need to get somebody working with our community before things get really out of hand. And so I would recommend we take a serious look at this. Okay?
Yeah, you know, I think we had a very favorable interview on the code enforcement issue. I checked one resume, one reference. I'd like to check a few more. But also, I think it feels like you have reservations because you only have one person. I have reservations. And then, so one idea would be let's take a week and see if we can find 1 or 2 others we would like to interview, just to make sure this is the right, even for a short-term contract decision.
I'm good either way.
Are there other ways besides the newspaper you could?
Yes, yeah. There's, we can advertise on the League of Cities and Towns website. And also there is the state listing of approved contractors that we can look at. And we can pick up the phone and call a few more people about who does their code enforcement.
There are a couple other companies we could reach out to if we wanted to do companies, we could
Sure.
see if they're interested in coming up here. We're a little isolated, we're a little far from everybody, and to get somebody to
Yeah.
come up.
And
Mileage is a concern because we have such a big space. So, there are things I do have reservations about. Good reviews on the code enforcement, but I'm okay to check out a couple if we want to go forward.
I'm not we put a solicitation out, one person responded, I think we've covered down on what we legally have to do personally.
we are.
I'm okay if you want to go look for another, certainly, but if you feel that this is the right value, I think you've covered the legal bar and you can go with it. Do we need an ordinance that authorizes enforcement?
I know you are asking that. It will be addressed in time.
Well, I think we need to answer that question before we go and hire someone.
Oh, it will be.
Okay.
I think actually it's already in the code, but I will double check for you.
We have enforcement,
Yeah.
but I don't know if it's
Well,
under.
Do you know, do we have fines
There are.
and fees?
But here's why I bring this up. Spread throughout our municipal code are different parts and pieces that say this is the fine or this is the rule. But we don't have an overarching ordinance that says, here's how we're gonna enforce things. And that's the question of the day. Do we need one? If so, let's make sure we get that done along with hiring code enforcement or however we decide to do it, so that we're legally sufficient when we create the ability to do it.
So under this financial procurement, if we get another company or two that we can interview and talk to them about services they can provide for us, we are good to go ahead if it's under $50,000. Chad is good to do this as the person over planning, correct?
Whoever's code enforcement, who's number 1 in code enforcement?
That could be me. I'm not sure.
I believe it is.
I thought it was planning.
You're the boss.
I thought it was planning, but okay, so then I could legally go ahead and hire this person or contract.
I was just saying, are we
I'll work with
hiring?
you.
No.
Because I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to be involved.
No, it's contracting. So in this, under this one, Janet, looking at our procurement, this is exactly what it said. word for word, small purchase contracts and purchases of 500,000 or less.
Understood.
50,000.
Or 50.
It's okay.
Good try.
Thank you. So,
Sure, Dave.
Man, I'm just curious, are we using like 30-day termination clauses on all of our contracts? Like either party in case we're not happy with,
All of them have really flexible term clauses. Yeah, we know we're startups. Yeah.
but with the termination?
Mhm.
Okay.
Not a lot of for cause and barriers.
Dave, for recorded purposes, would you give your full name then?
David Krim, 3916 Pineview Drive, so.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm very good. I'll reach out to some folks if you want me to and interview some more. I'm happy to do that. I just want to let you know where we're at right now with it. But we have some issues coming through on court and code enforcement now that if we don't get a handle on them, could escalate.
Okay.
I do have to say that the county has been doing enforcement for things like if people are building without a permit. They're going out there and putting in a stop work order for that. So there's things the county's doing to help us. But these are the other issues. Signs up on telephone poles all over, the minor things, the junk in the yards, the violations of no business license. So those kind of things they would address.
Okay. I think we need to get this going. Let's just make sure you got the tools we need. Let's make sure we're legally.
I think this company would be good. I don't have a reservation about what they would do code enforcement wise. I think they'd be very good for that piece. They also have a larger proposal as we move into business license or business building permits that they could help us with their expertise. So I think I will reach out to another company that does this kind of work just to get another view.
You said they're at the very high end.
They're at the high end.
I think
That's
they're
the
open.
negotiation.
They said they're open to negotiate.
Yeah.
But I didn't engage in that yet.
On mileage, I think it's reasonable for them to charge mileage within the city boundaries when they're driving around and looking at things. I would argue with them, they ought not be driving, charging us to drive from Tremont when they're driving to here, that's,
Agreed.
they give us somebody from Ogden instead.
Yes, and they'd also would like to come and talk to us about all the other things they do at some point in time if we'd like them to. So I think high end and mileage is something we can negotiate, so. Okay, we'll move forward with that.
Okay. Perfect. Next item on the agenda is business license and approval process, which the council member who had requested that has retracted, so we're gonna skip over that today. Moving on to the WACOG solid waste commitment discussion. So I'm gonna give just a brief update on what's going on with our solid waste subcommittee. And it doesn't actually affect us, well, it affects us. Okay, so what's happening right now with the solid waste discussion is that we've got the Ogden Valley, or not Ogden Valley, the Weaver County transfer station. And a competitor has come in and there's a bit of reshuffling of business for commercial and things like that to the Ogden transfer station. Losing a certain number of contracts has created financial instability with the Weaver County transfer station. This is a problem because it is the only option for public dumping. So when people want to take their mattresses, their televisions, or anything else that they want to drop off anywhere, right now, the only place that offers that service is the Weaver County Transfer Station. So there has been a lot of negotiation trying to essentially save the transfer station, keep it financially viable, get back some of the business that was being pulled away from them, and in doing that, the company, Republic, who's coming back with a commercial, needs a guarantee that the cities are gonna continue using that transfer station. So the agreed commitment that's been going back and forth between Republic and Weaver County transfer station is 3 years. But in those 3 years, all the cities would need to agree. And within those 3 years, you wouldn't back out, you wouldn't, break your contract or do anything else. So in today's rate talk meeting that I go to right from here, all the cities need to advise the subcommittee on where their city council sits with that. It has less effect on us because we are currently in a 3-year contract, where we will be using the Weaver County Transfer Station. So it's a little bit less dramatic for us because we're already in that agreement. But I wanted to make sure you guys are up and aware of what's happening, and that I do plan to attend today's meeting and let them know that we as Ogden Valley City will continue to use them because we're in agreement already. Now, you could choose to cancel that out, but once we agree, and that's not today's meeting, but that's the following meeting, we would not be canceling it. Yes.
Is the source of the agreement our agreement with waste?
Source of
The
the,
source of the agreement is our contract with Waste Management, which does stipulate that Waste Management will use the Weaver Transfer Station for 3 years. During the period of our contract, which is 3 years long.
Okay. I would say there's no reason for us to change that arrangement.
What's the financial difference if we change?
Well, that's a complicated question. Number one, we have not been approached by Ogden Transfer Station yet. They will probably be going around trying to undercut Weaver County Transfer Station, but the main thing to focus on is they do not offer public permit. So if people swap out to go to Ogden Transfer Station, and the Weaver Transfer Station therefore closes because they no longer are able to operate in the black, then we don't have anywhere for people to drop their stuff, and they end up dropping it in the lake, on the road, everywhere else. So this really comes down to the public dumping, rather than any individual contract owners. No. David Crum.
I'm just, so what was, besides the Ogden Transfer Station, which I'm familiar with, if you go there, take your stuff, you pay a fee individually.
At the week.
Weaver.
Well, they both do that.
Weaver, right, so what's this new company providing the same service? Because everything's hauled out on rail, basically down the price.
Right, yeah. So Ogden Transfer Station is now a competitor of the Weaver County Transfer Station. We've been using the Weaver County Transfer Station.
Right.
So Ogden Transfer Station, and they are vertically integrating. They kind of bought out two of the 5 major commercial disposal companies. And in that, where those companies used to go to the Ogden Transfer or the Weaver County Transfer Station, that has decreased the financial stability of the Weaver County Transfer Station. And some other companies have talked about it because they're undercutting the price. The Weaver County Transfer Station has been negotiating with Republic. Republic is a very large commercial entity, and they have agreed to stay with the Weaver County Transfer Station under the guise that all the cities are staying as well, so we wouldn't have people peel out. So the subcommittee has agreed to set a 3-year contract with Republic that we would stay for the next 3 years. They would stay. Once we stay, nobody would get out. We would get out and they couldn't get out. That way we guarantee the transfer station stays up for 3 more years. During that 3 years, we'll be evaluating kind of a SWOT analysis, what's going on in the market, what kinds of threats are coming down the road, opportunities, making sure that we stay financially viable so that we're not just pushing, the can down the road 3 more years. But it does, no matter what, enable public dumping to be available for at least the next 3 years.
So Waste Management, they're not gonna use the Weaver County Transfer Station?
No, we have that in there.
Our contract for 3 years requires Waste Management to use the Weaver Transfer Station.
And where's the new Ogden Transfer Station?
I just looked it up. This is right, it's on Midland.
Yeah, I'm not attended it.
Okay, thank you for that.
The big concern really is the public dumping. because we're gonna have a real problem. Um,
And Ogden Transit is not gonna,
they're not offering it, nope, they're not offering it, so. And maybe they will in the future, and then we'll discuss it in the future, but right now they are absolutely not, and they have no, they've been asked and inquired about this, and that is not something, a short-term plan. So right now it comes down to that. Again, it's not a big discussion for us necessarily, because we already have an agreement. I wanted you to know because I am going to go, and if anyone pulls that, video, you're gonna see me say that Ogden Valley City intends to stay for the next 3 years, because that's our contract.
With confidence, I think you can say we favor a public dump.
Perfect,
Okay.
wonderful, I will do it with confidence, thank you, I appreciate that. The next update is also from me, it's just a really quick thing. So we have quarterly budget meetings with the sheriff's office, Chad and I attended the one back in December, which was Q4, since they are on a calendar year with the county, so it's their Q4. And at that point, we were just trying to set up our budget, and so basically they were just letting us know what it's gonna cost to be a contract city with the sheriff's office. The other cities were really taken aback, well, we had nothing to go off of, they were taken aback because we were apprised at that time of a large cost increase for the sheriff's department, moving into citywide, county city, or contract citywide fiscal year 27. Not our current interim, but starting in July. I mean, it is what it is for us, we didn't know anything, so we just came in, but everybody else was quite taken aback. I just went to Q1 of this year, budget meeting, and that increase is gonna go up a little bit more. And it has to do with staffing. They're trying desperately to right a ship and then raise their numbers. So just for a little very brief background, Weaver County Sheriff's Office has had decreasing numbers in staff. They've been getting poached from various places because they're not, they were paying less than other areas. They have to get their budget approved by the county. They kept going and asking for various things that wasn't getting approved. And they went down to about 70 something employees to cover a very large group of people. Basically they were at, what is it, like 0.5 officers per person or something like that, per 1,000 residents. Not a very good scenario, when other areas have like a 1.3 officer per 1,000. So we were significantly lower. They came in December and said, this is our intention, we're going to raise pay. We're gonna offer all these new incentives and see if we can not only retain, but draw people in. That got approved, that's what we built our fiscal year 27 line and our fiscal 26 line item off of, was what we got in December. They've done that, it has succeeded, they have already hired 9 new officers, that's 8 of which are coming from experience, coming laterally from a different place. It's really about losing the experienced people, that becomes a really big problem, so they were able to actually draw in experienced officers with this. So the new increase is basically because they want 10 more. So, I have a document with all of the numbers that they're proposing. And I will circulate that out to you all, but this is really just a heads up that as we put our budget together, that number will increase. Again. They also have just offered to come out if we need to do a truth in taxation, anything like that, to talk about, because of these numbers are higher than originally budgeted for, that they will come out and present at those meetings, which I thought was great.
Is this based on the calls, the number of calls that we get up here in the valley, or is it just the time the officers spend up here?
So the cost of our budget is based on a couple of different things. But what we're talking about right now is employment, right? They're hiring, so now their cost goes up. Then they take their total cost and they divide that by population and costs.
Okay,
So they take their total
so their
cost
total cost.
and it divides between all the contract cities. And then you pay your portion of population and costs. Yeah. Yes, Stephen Burton.
So do you think we're being gouged by that? Because they have to provide coverage for still all the unincorporated areas up here in Weaver County.
Yeah.
There's many calls they have to Causey Reservoir. Pine View, if they're still gonna be doing that. I'm just wondering, you know, hopefully all these other areas and things are being shared.
They are.
They are.
They are. They're a line item just like we are. Unincorporated is a line item with the contract cities, just like all the contract cities. So now where we used to be unincorporated, we've been separated out. We're at Ogden Valley City, and there's still a line item unincorporated up front. We're actually unincorporated Weaver County because Weaver County.
Correct.
So,
Thank you.
yes.
We get a report from the sheriffs. I know like Huntsville, town council meetings, the sheriff reports and
Yes.
does, okay.
There, we started your name on it. Sorry.
Blog, you know.
Yeah.
Going in the paper.
Joking like that.
One quick note on that too, I heard the port ramps closed this summer.
Okay.
So there's gonna be tremendous pressure on the cemetery, White Ramp, I would assume. I can just see that line of cars coming all the way out to the.
So, I'm gonna have our sheriff, our lieutenant, do a quarterly meeting at one of our, like, come in and actually present on. Within the last 3 months, these are the major things we've seen. Obviously, there's some private information he's not gonna talk about, but he's just gonna give an overview on, we've seen an increase of traffic stops, or we've seen an increase of theft. He'll do a quarterly report. And then, obviously, we can advise them as well as what we focus on.
And I did not know that was gonna be closed this summer. So that's gonna be a major issue.
So,
Parking and cars, and so that's something we do need to give them the heads up. They may know, but I didn't.
Yeah, Windsurfer and Fort Randall,
Are gonna be closed this summer?
summer 2027.
Oh, boy.
Well, like,
And then there's gonna be a brand new entrance and a brand new exit way. They're doing.
we should put on our agenda at some point, the parking fees along middle.
So- I was gonna do, so yes, it actually needs to go on our next session, I just didn't have paperwork ready to
It's
do.
share.
Yeah, but we're the ones who, it's our road, it's our property,
So
we define the fees.
the county set new fines around Pine View. And they still exist. But it's our road, and if we wanna be able to collect those fines, we have to adopt them.
Yeah.
So, and if anyone wants to argue changing them in any way, that would be the time to do it, but in order for us to get those fines, we need to adopt them. And just keep them under us.
Who's got that one, sheriffs or public works?
Sheriff's office is asking about it.
So is it you guys or is it me in public works? On third street or second street with sheriffs?
I'd be happy to
There we
work
go.
with you, Janet, on this with the sheriff first, and then we may need to pull you in for the fees piece.
But it's not a
Or
public
shared.
issue, it's how much we wanna charge for
Roads.
what's legally parking.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes,
One-
sorry.
One related issue is, I think it would be wise to reach out to the Forest Service and their vendor, their concessionaire, who's doing, that renovation. It would be good to know what the changes will be. It would be good to know, have they incorporated any possibility for other public parking during the ski season as well? An idea that has been floated around for years, but can never seem to get closure. And I think now is the time to do it, given that they're working on the parking. Horribly underused parking facility during ski season. And I had one early conversation with the lead forester about this, and he said, absolutely, that's of interest and good news for this new city. This was long before the city was up and running, but it means dealing with the concessionaire, not with the federal government. And he said, your lucky day, the concessionaires are not bound by all of the red tape that the Forest Service would be in talking about alternative uses of that space.
So who would, I think it's a great idea, who would do that?
I know about that parking
Mhm.
space.
You wanna follow up on that?
I don't want to preempt Mayor, who's our external relationship expert. Would you like to partner with that or do that on your own, Mayor?
It doesn't matter to do it on my own, but there
Okay.
is a larger discussion about parking in the valley that includes, some of the county commissioners and things like that have been in the works for many years, and so about trying to figure them out and close them up. I should definitely be involved. The question, so it doesn't need to be closed. You're welcome to participate or join whomever, but it's a broader discussion as well. Are you? I didn't want to.
No, and I'm just saying they should be talking about it as a prospect. I assure you.
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll bring it to the floor.
So is there a parking plan that they've been working on for a
So,
couple of years?
okay,
Excuse me, David, I'm sorry, I know you.
Yeah, well, so, we're getting off the agenda, and that's fine.
Can we put it on an agenda? I'd like to know about it.
Yes, it will go on an agenda the minute there's something to actually report. But since you brought it up, we can discuss it. I just want to say, so we are done with this, with the sheriff's office budget increase. I just want to make that clear. So you guys have been informed on that. What was your question, Peggy?
Has there been a discussion and what's been of the, or planning about the parking? You had mentioned the,
So prior to our city becoming a live incorporated city, there have been many discussions that were being done with the county, who was the legislative body at the time, with private landowners as well as the Forest Service and people like that. I was not in those meetings. I have talked with the county commissioners since then and said I would like to, because now it's us.
Mhm.
So basically they're hands on, and I said, well, you know, I need to get informed on what you guys are doing, where you guys were with the negotiations, because we still need a parking solution. And so I invited them to meet with me on it, and as well as facilitate introductions with the private landowners that they were talking about. It has not moved forward from there. That's where we are with that.
Yeah, I think the whole parking question, not just Port Ramp, but others will hit our agenda sooner or later in terms of pressure to create more parking. So it would be a good topic
Yes.
to get a general briefing sooner rather than later. Who would know about that at the county? Planning department?
What are we talking about?
The parking.
So the two commissioners that, I mean, are,
Who's on top of parking there?
well, Commissioner Frower was leading the discussion with some private landowners. You've got Commissioner Harvey, who is one of the chairs of Wasatch Front Regional Council, which is a transportation organization. I don't think Commissioner Bolos was involved specifically. But this is all gonna tie in with infrastructure and Olympics and everything else. This is a bigger combined issue. Yes, take time.
We have a transportation plan we inherit from the county. If we get the money, we're updating the transportation plan with the UDOT TPA money. I will use the engineering assets to inquire of engineering at the county what they know about this, but broadly, it will express itself in our transportation plan, or it ought to. And at the mayor's point, as we look at infrastructure upgrades on the agenda here in a little bit, I'll be talking about infrastructure in those places. So I will inquire of the county engineer and see what he knows that what was discussed. And the mayor can speak commissioners.
Excellent.
So I don't know if this is going off topic, but would this include the proposal that they were doing for the
Wolf Farm?
Wolf Farm parking lot?
I don't know if the county included that or not, that parking lot, in my understanding, is private parking lot to serve other mountains customers. But what we're talking about here is more public parking to serve the greater needs lobby.
Well, I know they were talking about it being something that.
It is part of
It
the,
will probably be part of the conversation if it.
it's part of the big picture.
So. My work is to follow up with engineering and see what engineering knows, but know that we inherit a transportation plan from the county. That will be updated if we get the TPA money. And you're about to hear the infancy of our infrastructure plan when we get to that on the agenda.
Mr. Brown.
So will we be establishing or reestablishing no parking zones around the dam on the city roads? And if so, the other question is, could our code enforcement contractor officer also help with issuing fines? Because I know a lot of times the sheriffs are too busy you know, especially in the middle inlet area, you've seen 30 to 50 cars, you know, illegally parking where the parking signs are. And just, those are some questions.
All around the reservoir.
I think. What you just heard around the working session is we need to get our hands around whether or not we are gonna have an ordinance about parking. In that specific case, and we probably would need an ordinance that allows the code enforcer to enforce this law. But we have the power to do so if we decide to do it.
Right, it just could be a cash cow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could be, but we wouldn't want to receive our guests as cows from whom we're getting cash. What we would want is their understanding that they're neighbors and they shouldn't be illegally parking, and the fine for illegally parking is they're gonna pay a lot.
It's definitely a hazard over there, driving
Yes.
60 miles an hour, there's been many close calls.
It-
It is, if we had an enterprising member of the public who wanted to have a parking lot for towed vehicles, and we could make that even harder. We digress.
I do just wanna put on the record that there's very specific language in the state statute of not having code enforcement, be a like
Profit center.
profit center. So striking cash cows and things like that out. It is about compliance and not profit. So be careful with that.
We have a lot that need compliance.
You
To be in
also-
compliance,
Sure.
we can frame it
But,
anyway.
well, you can, but also understand that there's the law and then there's the enforcement, right? So a code enforcement officer is not a police officer. He's not going to be able to write a ticket that goes to the court and things like that. A code enforcement officer can issue a fine. And I'm sure that we have at least a 3-step process where you get a letter before a fine. And so it's not as simple as simply going and stick. By the way, a police officer can do it. Two very different things. And the code enforcement would be subject to us and our internal kind of judicial system, rather than going to the court itself. That's the police officer aspect of it. All right, so that was meant to be the sheriff budget increase. So next on the agenda was an update on the 5 sewers and the legal status of that, but that has been requested to be removed from the person who asked to have that on the agenda.
Delayed to next week.
So we will put that to next week. Next on the agenda, we have Councilmember Hickman giving us an update on, or a discussion on Congressman Moore's community project funding.
And really, the bigger picture is, we don't have an infrastructure plan. Period, we're new, we don't have one. Chad Michelle for us is putting together the structure of a future infrastructure plan for us. The specific subject that I forwarded to you all is Cindy Gooch, who we've heard that name multiple times around council, our grant writer, forwarded to us that Congressman Blake Moore entertains from jurisdictions within his district, the first district, request for consideration for earmark funding for federally funded projects. We've got until the 20th March to submit anything that we could feel would be appropriate for this. The mayor and I and Cindy Gooch and Nate are gonna have a conversation at 2:30 to explore it further on whether or not there might be something. Chad, the only thing that's on the table right now is if we were to pull the thread of the energy security discussion that the 3 of us were part of, where that was 2 months ago. So I want you guys to see this, because these are the types of things that we as a municipality will begin to get our heads around and get in front of. Once we have an infrastructure plan, once we identify parking lot here, fix a bridge there, energy security here, yada, yada, yada. To you all, if there's a obvious infrastructure project that we could convince our congressman, Blake Moore, that yes, this is something that we would want to upgrade, and it's mature enough in its thoughts, and that we can present to him, then we might pursue it. We've got until the 20th of March for me to have the engineers put something together. So I doubt that the mayor and I and Nate will come up with something when we need it to, but I wanted you guys to be aware that this exists, and next year, hopefully we'll be positioned with a lot more mature infrastructure plan, with some thought behind it, with some feasibility studies behind it. Any questions?
Talking about
What's that?
What kind of money?
Dollar sums or flavors?
Yeah.
Well, so the sums can be millions of dollars. These are federal earmarks. The congressman in his staff instruction to people is the congressman has about $10 million that he can argue for earmarks through the congressional budgeted process. So he will entertain projects from all the municipalities. This total sum from everybody is 10 million. So the odds of us ever getting a $10 million earmark from the federal government through this process is near zero, but not zero. The type of money is it's federal money, and in general, we would have to demonstrate that one, we've got it, two, we're interested, three, we have partners, and four, there's match. So the federal money will come to fully fund a project, we'll have to have matching monies. That's the flavor.
And any other streams?
Oh, I'm sure there's a federal government. It's a bureaucracy from heck and handbasket. But, so I'm not bullish on us getting any money out of this year, but Cindy and Janet and I and Nate are gonna talk here at 2:30, but I want you guys to be aware of these things. As we're thinking about the future, right now, we're dog paddling, trying to keep our noses above water. But as we begin to understand what we would need to help this valley be what we want it to be in the future, these are the types of projects and funding opportunities that we need to get ahead of. Usually these are multi-year things. We've been presenting it to Blakemore year after year, and now we've got it moving. Okay,
I have two questions from the audience.
I do. Who's first?
I think Dave
I think, I have a great project I discussed with you earlier this year, in that most people in your district do not have television translator reception. Because as far as I'm aware, the only translator is over in the Wolf Creek site. Myself in Green Hills, the mountain blocks that signal. So probably, over 1,000 people, especially in your District 5, cannot get, the federal regulated free TV receptions, for instance. The valley clearly needs a second translator, or a new centrally located one that, would supply service to everyone.
You had a shovel-ready project?
Pardon me?
You have a shovel-ready project?
It is, and I'd like to volunteer for that, but
See me afterwards, and we'll talk about it.
And is there a district, don't we have a local?
There is, yeah.
Okay.
Hang on, is that it?
yeah, that's it.
I don't know if roads fall in there.
So this is,
Say your name.
this is Shane.
Shane Dunleavy, 3718 Wolf Creek Drive.
Roads would,
Okay.
if we were mature enough in our understanding of them, which we're not yet, unfortunately.
I understand, in order to help you along with that, Utah State did do a study. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but and they classified some of the roads that need a lot of attention. There's a number of them, number of bridges. I don't know if you've taken one bridge maybe in Capital, or Old Snow Basin Road has been monitored for years. There's a section that shifted about 3 inches this last winter. It's gonna slide at some point, so.
And so what Mr. Dunleavy points out is roads, so over time, and thank you, Shane. Over time, Matt Crump and our engineer, we will have a detailed picture of the roads that we can begin to work through WACOG and WFRC and our legislative branch to show, okay, here's what needs to be done. And with that, then we go to Blakemore and say, you give us 5, the state gives us 5, we can fix all these roads. Unfortunately, we probably are not mature enough, we don't have a shovel-ready project to go.
Well,
Does it have,
sorry, the window dramatically closed, like we had a little bit more time and then we just got told what we got like.
Or she told us that it was gonna be in March.
I thought originally it was like April, but now it's like mid-March, we've got like 2 weeks to get them anything, so it's not a lot of time.
does it have to be a shovel ready? Could it be a feasibility study that we're paying for anyway?
One of the questions we're asking Cindy is, would a feasibility study fit within
with
this?
it.
And if so,
That's,
then I think we've got a chance.
yeah, then we could study the roads and then get
Yeah.
the picture. The other,
No, go ahead, no.
oh, I'm sorry. Go.
Go ahead.
The other thing I was wondering about was an emergency system. I don't know if that's what you were referring to with another translator, but we have no and you know better than I do how to communicate during an emergency, an earthquake, something. I wouldn't know what to do as a citizen and as a resident.
We're working on it.
Okay, thanks. But that's another big project that I think all of us would benefit from.
So Kathy, I'll go to you, it's like, the key with this, and really this is premature, to have any chance of success, you've got a mature project to bring to them and show them. A neat idea, they're not gonna fund. I'm not, so this is a neat idea, we just don't have any project behind it. Same with the translator, but we'll talk to Kathy.
Two things for you guys. The first, I actually am getting picked up by Michael, so he'll be here and he can talk to you, David, and you, Dom, about the translator part. Two, for the project, I know we don't have a project or infrastructure we know about right now, but the beautiful thing about some of these federal funds is they can go with other projects that are already happening in the area. We partnered with UDOT and Hiram Power to help them with theirs as part of our project. So once the city has one that's set up and you guys know what you want to do, I'm going to be doing a lot of construction work. There's going to be other companies doing work, and we can help partner together, which makes everyone more successful.
Thank you.
Cool. But don't hold your hope that we're gonna see manna from heaven from Lake Moore on this. It was really just to let everybody know that these types of things exist, and I'll get back to everybody. Well, Jen and I will let you know whether or not we actually think we have something that we would have a chance. Cindy Gooch will inform us whether or not we're blowing smoke or have a chance. But regardless, we will have an infrastructure plan that the engineering team's maturing, and you guys will see it once I actually have something to show you.
Well, isn't that one of the reasons that we wanted Cindy was to let us know about?
Absolutely.
I guess, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is this still regarding?
There is one shovel ready project,
What's it?
US Forest Service, the bridge down in Memory Road.
Oh, we're here, Jefferson. Temporary one?
Yes,
That's just a temporary bridge they put up.
it's a temporary bridge, they've got a plan ready to go, they just need funding.
I hope that okay, let's start on that one. That, the Forest Service ought to be going to.
They should.
Like Moore's office, not us, because we don't have jurisdiction on that.
You can partner with them.
But yeah, okay,
That's what I call it, it is Jefferson.
it's the one right over here.
No, I'm just wondering.
Wait, both, some call it Jefferson, some call it Mary Grove, some call it.
They just put up another gate, so now there is no access, even off of the temporary
You
bridge.
jump over.
You jump over the gate, that is true.
I haven't done that ever.
Of course.
Okay, I'm done with that subject.
All right, moving on, we go into our council member comments. And we have 15 minutes left in our time period, so we can go around, we can start with District 1 if we'd like.
Yeah, so just on emergency management, I got contacted over just last week when it was raining. From somebody in District 3, Wolf Creek, right? Okay, is that you? And she was concerned about flooding, which they've had issues with before. Anyway, that spurred Dawn and I to get with Weaver County and the engineer. Who was on our.
Joanne, so roads in Lewis, or whatever.
Yeah,
My side is roads, Joe Hadley, your side is
it,
Lisa.
Lisa Gosden.
There we go.
Yeah, so we had a little texting group going on, and it boiled down to if there was sandbagging, we know where the sand is, it's in Eden. And they set aside 1,000 sandbags for us to use if we needed to do sandbagging. Lisa never did get back with me on because she said there was a cost for the sandbags.
And the way we'll pay the cost is either directly through what we do with roads, or we'll cut them a separate check. But I said to Joe, if we have an emergency and need to create sandbags, bags loaded with sand, that we, the city, would cover that cost, because it is our cost to cover. And so then at that point, they said, great, let us know if you need sand and sandbag. Over to emergency management to work how we would, in an emergency, notify and get bags to where we need to go. I'm sure roads will help us move bags too if we need to.
Yeah, so we had an exercise in that a couple of years, like 2023, where there was a lot of flooding up here in the valley and so there's a process in place that could cover all of that.
This is for emergencies, not for routine complaints between neighbors.
No, it's.
This is for emergencies.
Yeah.
Not that complaints between neighbors is routine,
Right,
but the purpose is protecting life and property
yeah,
in floodplains.
yeah, and citizens getting out there and helping to sandbag, that's what it is.
So we have the capability, if for some reason Dawn is not available and the emergency happens, 1-800 Joe Hadley, Joe will have the sand and bags ready.
Is this something that needs to go in the Valley Development News?
I
That's
don't
right.
see a
Okay.
need for it right now,
Did you want to call, or there seems to be a question on your topic?
oh, sorry,
Actually, just a comment, in the past, up at Wolf Creek, we've allowed them to dump sand and sandbags over by the maintenance shed by the golf course.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
feel free if it's an emergency, just,
Yeah.
you know, you can ask.
we used that before.
Yeah.
Do you remember twenty?
Oh, yeah, I remember, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember,
And-
still sandbags we were going home.
Yeah. yeah, it was all over, going all over.
So if we get to that point this year, we'll just repurpose that. Unfortunately, we don't have any snow.
That will be right.
Thank
I don't know, the mayor is coming.
you for continuing to offer
Yeah,
that
no
information. Very kind. Anything else from District 1 or all of your portfolio that you need to put in? All right, 2.
Yes, I had office hours last week and had 3 groups of residents come in. It was great. One worried about where to put green waste instead of driving all the way down the canyon. We could put that on a brainstorming session sometime and work through that. I think it would be a great idea for the valley. The reasoning is, and I think it's gonna impact a lot of people, he got a letter from his insurance company, as did I, saying you have to clean out around your home or else you're gonna drop your premiums are gonna go up. So we're gonna have a lot of people cleaning around their homes.
You need it to the fire.
Yes, for the fire insurance or for home insurance.
Mhm.
So we need to have, he was wanting a place to dump it up here as opposed to driving all the way down the canyon with that.
So this is public dumping.
This is public dumping.
Green
So
space.
it's waste management.
I understand, but it,
But look
you want
at this,
something on it.
but look at this, if we could do something with waste management to put something somewhere. You know, that they could take, I don't know, so it's a thought, just something to think about. The second thing was I learned how to do a certificate of occupancy. So that was a big one, we had to
Wow.
research, somebody could not get a certificate of occupancy. And they received a letter that their water rights would be discontinued if they didn't have it. They had just moved in, so you need 2 things, tax documents, which they didn't have from last year. Because they weren't there, or a letter of occupancy. So if you get some residents that are caught in that, bought a home right before we incorporated, you just need to work with Stan and get a final inspection permit, and from that you can get the occupancy.
On your green waste, is there not a spot up? Highway 39 for that, or is that not a real spot?
So the spot that you're thinking of was when Huntsville Irrigation was installing their underground pipes. Yeah, that was Huntsville Irrigation offering certain things to happen that no longer exist as part of the property. The mayor and I should talk with the mayor whose offices we're sitting in right now and see if they would entertain a conversation. Some of us remember at one point, the city of Huntsville enabled all residents of Ogden Valley to use their green waste dump. This was probably 10 years ago for a variety of reasons. They're stopped doing that I'm aware of. So it's worth the conversation with Mayor Richardson.
Did you have your hand up, Blaine?
Yeah, I actually have that same point. So I know it's been discussed before about sharing with the town. There was issues in the past where now, it's not in Huntsville at all, and we would notify the people around the dump that, we're burning, and we tried to do grinding years ago, but there was enough of an outrage that they didn't want the grinding machine there for a week, making all the noise and stuff. So that should have made it still, the company that would do the grinding no longer is offering that service, we might be able to find one. Right now, we're stuck to burning it, and the waste that Huntsville is currently generating, we're burning every year. If we increase that, then it'd be multiple burns throughout the year, one in the spring, one in the fall. So that would be more of an impact around the residents that we'd have to notify and all that stuff. Or we'd have to make sure that everybody's okay with this grinding service, which would provide, mulch for local residents and all that stuff. So, it's been an issue because it's outside of Huntsville proper. We've had to work with residents around the greenways, /. So I know very good scouts, but
It is a topic I think we should look at. The fire department also helps. They come through my neighborhood and grind everything. So, the fire department does mine.
that would be nice.
Yeah, so they come all through my neighborhood every year. We put everything out on the road and they come through. and-
Sounds like you got the solution, Mr.
Yes.
Instead of us paying for it.
Yeah, which is, then they do it as a service and then you put hours on, what is that, the CERT group?
Also that they can in kind.
Yeah, in kind donation.
Yeah.
Peggy,
So that was one thing.
this is very naive question, but, is green waste used in a compost?
I think
Process?
green waste is leaves, sticks, the stuff we're cleaning up. Yeah,
Compost is
compost is
different.
food
Okay.
waste.
And green waste be composted.
Right,
Yes.
Exactly.
It's the layer in between. So that was one thing. I have three here. The second one is impact fees. I received an email from Rebecca. There's about $5,000 in impact fees that we can assume, but we don't know how. We don't have a mechanism. So Rebecca Hansen is one of the works with Stan.
Okay.
And permitting tech, I
Mhm.
think is her title. And she said, we have these impact fees and the impact fees go for the 3 roads, stormwater and trails. So, but there's $5,000 there that we can start collecting. Do we need a resolution to collect it? Do we need it? And here's the issue, the fees from the county, do we accept the fees that Weaver's doing right now? And then the mechanism for getting them in the right counts. The financial mechanism.
finance
to
can
get
look
them
at
in
that.
the regular,
Yeah.
it's there.
I'll
I
direct that to
don't
Sherry.
wanna lose it, so, okay, you'll take that one,
Mhm.
excellent.
Can I just add, because I don't think we've ever completed the action of assuming the accounts from the county of impact fees from before we were incorporated, and we need to finish that up. There was some discussion where we might be whether they transfer it to us or whether we get added to an account.
It was never
It
closed.
was never closed in my mind.
This to me is the extension of that.
That's my thinking.
They're meeting today to see what they need to do.
Yeah, you're talking about new impact
Span.
fees and I'm talking about existing ones as well. We need to
Well,
close.
these are ones that have been collected.
Correct,
Collected fees, not new fees.
correct.
That's what Peggy brought. up.
Probably I believe from incorporation to now.
Right.
So anyway, if finance could figure out the administrative piece on how to get those, and if we want to keep Weaver County's fees and carry them over. So 2 issues there for finance that we have. And then my last one,
They are just,
sure,
and we need their plan for how they're gonna spend them as well, which I've asked through Gary to get, but let's make sure we get it at the same.
Whose plan you mean,
The
the counties?
You can only spend
They're
impact
dedicated.
fees on an identified need against a plan.
Mhm.
So in theory,
Sure.
we have to follow what the county plan.
And keep them segregated for that purpose, right?
okay, and the last one is our VoIP numbers. And Kathy, will you help us with that discussion?
So a good question came up from the vendor, do you guys want your phones to ring after hours, or do you want to go to voicemail? So let's say it's 8 o'clock, someone calls and they hit option 3, they get right to Kay, because they're gonna complain to her about something in Wolf Creek. Does it go to voicemail, or does she answer it, and what happens at 2 AM?
I want the option to change daily. I don't wanna be told this is the way it is forever. I wanna be, there's sometimes when I may wanna have it shut off
Silence.
and doesn't ring.
But if it goes to voicemail, you'll still see it and be able to respond to it, right,
Yeah.
Kathy?
Yep.
So I think a reasonable time to pick to go to voicemail, and then you can still get them. And you just like you get your voicemail and you can respond to them at 2 AM if you choose.
Can we individually choose our times and tell you or the contractor, Kathy?
Yeah, technically, you could just choose let them ring all the time and just not answer it with one of
I
the
noticed, that was the difference between that and just sending it to voicemail.
Yeah, it just depends on if you're on sleep or on 2 a.m. calls might wake you up.
So are these decisions we have to make today or when we set up our accounts?
They were just asking us so they can make sure they were configured for you guys before you started, so you didn't get a 2 a.m. call if you didn't want one.
So I would say, because we don't take action here, that everyone, this is something that she needs to know, hear back from everybody, if everybody kind of gives some thought, get back to Kathy on it.
Yep, if they email me, we just don't want to create form and right.
Right, so individually to Kathy, figure out your times, your lifestyle. Get it to Kathy and then we're
Available 24 hours a day.
Yeah, that's great.
I just have a question, relative to that. Is there an emergency number that will also be available?
We could have one, it's just that no one decided what a number would do yet or who would man it, so we didn't request one yet.
Okay,
But if we have an idea of how we want that to work now, we can definitely get it going, but we didn't start one because we didn't have one.
Along those lines, is there any thoughts of a city number, like for the office?
That goes in line with hers, we don't know who would answer it, so we can't set it up, because then we'll just always ring, we don't know from you guys who would be answering this phone number. So we need to know what that plan is in order to help make our dreams come true.
Someone on the other end.
It could be answered when we're doing the office, but it would just be during the office hours.
Be a separate number that's coming to your cell phone anyway, there's no.
It's coming to a cell phone.
Well, you could have an office phone, or, you know,
Yeah.
at the office phone. So it's just like a regular pickup.
Anything else?
For me?
Yep.
Nope.
District 3,
nothing to report?
District 4.
The only thing is coming back to Don's federal funds, if you could ask as far, because us being fairly new with that. Like good examples of what we can kind of brainstorm or maybe ask about potential for that. Like
Sure.
what's within and what's without, if it doesn't work.
Yeah, like I'll ask. Classically, it's infrastructure. What the federal government loves to spend money on is building roads, building bridges, building things, because it brings jobs. Those are classical things. Studies, sure, studies don't bring as many jobs, but studies are important because from a feasibility study comes eventually turning dirt and making jobs.
Right, but within what context does that qualify? You know, there's a lot of areas, and Shane brought up a good example of this bridge, but we've got multiple, damaged trails and North Farm Trail, different areas like that, and then we keep getting hearing, and we've got funds for it supposedly, but can't get through to get that done, so that would be nice to know, like, what can we do to help get it pushed through on those things? Those ideas that are out there, because then I think what will happen, if we, even within the 6 of us and then expand it out, you'll get those ideas pouring in and saying, well, why don't you do this, why don't you do this, why don't you do that? And what funds are there is a great way of being able to.
Exactly, and what we're gonna discover is this, there will be Venn diagram over Venn diagram over Venn diagram that will start to overlay. WACOG, WFRC, the federal government, the county monies, our monies, and when you get those sweet spots where 3 or 4 Venn diagrams have overlaid and everybody's willing to sign their name and commit money, magically, money starts showing and things get done.
And my point too is the more we understand how that we can fit that together, the better off we are to get it done.
And I think an important tool that I'll be able to show sometime soon is our infrastructure plan. And infrastructure is small I, not big enough. It literally is anything we choose to do. A trail, a road, a bridge, a building,
A roundabout.
a roundabout, a TV tower, high-speed internet, and from those come these things. Energy, nuclear power plants. I didn't say nuclear power plant. I'm
It's
just
all right.
making it up.
Town hall.
Down hall.
I'll update you on our
Okay.
inability to move on that anywhere. District 5.
Not a.
Back to me, just, basically just wanna update that we are in the very final stretch of the 45-day legislative session, which means that a ton of those are being, either approved or denied as we speak. And what does that mean for you all, as you guys experienced once recently? It means daily calls to action about certain bills that will affect our municipality. And so I am in direct communication with the league on all these things. When I get sent things, I will forward them to you. I will, as I did last time, let you know who to reach out to, how it's affecting us so that you can either text or leave a message, however you wish to contact either the rep or the sender, depending on who we're reaching out to, with your discussion points, basically. So keep an eye out for those. They are immediate calls to action because the vote, like when we get it, it's because the vote is happening either that day or the very next morning. And so if when you see them, shoot out a text. I'll give you some highlights to be able to mention. That's basically it. That really has to do with everybody. I can get with people individually. So if there is nothing further to discuss, it is 2:02. I will take a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Second,
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
aye.
Hi, we are adjourned to 2:02. Oh, I got stuck down. That's all right.
Because in your way, so you can see.